Hey, it's Greg Otten here with MaritimeGardening.com, and today it's a good day to move things. Tomorrow and the next day it's gonna rain, and I've got some spinach that I grew under a improvised cold frame in March. It's now around the end of April, and it's the right time to space these things out properly and move them around a little bit. And since I got 2 days of rain coming where the sun's not going to be too intense, it's the right time to move them around so they'll have 2 days to recover before it's sunny again. It's a Friday evening, and on Monday it's supposed to be sunny again. So I got a Saturday of overcast rain and a Sunday of overcast rain, and I've got tonight as well. So I think the rain's supposed to start around midnight tonight. So it's the right time to move things. So that's when you do it, right? That's how you do it the easy way. So I'm going to give you a quick look around my garden, very quick, to give you a sense of where I am in terms of the season and in terms of my growing season. Just like I was talking about in the previous video, how high certain perennials are. Those sort of indications, rather than just saying I'm in zone 6A, which doesn't really mean much. That tells you how well my perennials can survive the winter. It doesn't tell you much about where my growing season is right now. So I'm going to show you a couple plants. I'm going to show you my rhubarb and my tulips and my garlic, how high those are, to give you a sense of where I am in the growing season, so that you can compare notes and gauge what you should be doing in reference to that. Alright, so have a watch. Okay, so here's my one of my rhubarb plants. This is in a sheltered spot and doesn't get a ridiculous amount of sun here, but it gets no wind. And I would say, looking at it, at the highest it's about 4 inches high. So it's already crowned and it's about 4 inches high. Now, just for contrast, here's my major rhubarb bed, and a little bit less protected here and not quite as far along. So I got some here trying to push its way through the seaweed, right? That's about, well, there's one tip there, it's about 4 inches high. There's supposed to be rhubarb over here. I don't even see it yet. Is there any there? Oh, there's one little tip right there. Look at that, just starting to show. Right, maybe 2 or 3 inches high right there. Just a little guy. There's another one here trying to poke its way out. Maybe 3 inches high. Just starting to show, just starting to crown. There's a little bit right there, and there's a little bit right there. That's about 4 inches high. So it's just so funny in an area like this where I've got, probably 8 rhubarb plants, only about 5 are showing. And you got one here that's really showing well, and other ones that aren't, just barely poking their way through. Anyway, so that's rhubarb, to give you an indication. Here's a bed where I planted garlic last year. These are my own garlic. These are music garlic, the variety. And you can see them poking up through. And I'd say the soil level's down here, so I'd say they're about, now this is like, I don't know, April 26th today, something like that. And they're about 4 or 5 inches high. Fairly consistently. Some of them are a bit higher than others. Right, there's another one over here. I mean, they don't look high because I've got this heavy mulch on, but the mulch is 5 inches high, right, in terms of its depth, right? They go all the way down to the bottom here, from the actual soil level to the tip. We're talking about 5 inches, and most of them are the same sort of thing. There's one there, there's one there, there's one there, and they're up all throughout the bed, right? They're all about 5 inches high. So my music garlic, if you're growing music garlic, are about 5 inches high. Got another bed here with garlic. I think I did a video earlier this year showing that I'd forgotten that I even planted garlic here. But despite this heavy mulch, see, they've all poked their way through. They've all found their way through. Resist the urge to pull your mulch off. It's a powerful urge. When you pull a bit back and you see them growing, they'll find their way through. Some plants can, some plants can't. Garlic can find their way through. Don't muck around. Just leave it all alone. Leave it alone, and they'll find their way through. Anyway, these garlic again are about 5 inches high if we went all the way down to the soil level. I'm not going to pull this mulch back, but if I go down here, it's about, from the soil level to the tip of the garlic, it's about 5 inches. So they're doing fine. The bed right here where I planted a whole bunch of different varieties, store-bought garlic, the cheap Chinese garlic, all kinds of different things here. And I think from the corner to this stick was Chinese garlic. And look, right there. It has survived my Canadian winter. At least that one has. I don't know what. There's a couple. I see another little one right there. See the green? We'll see how it does. I'm not going to muck around. I'm just going to leave this alone. But we'll see. One more perennial indication here is tulips. These little tulip bed that I've got in my garden. I had squash growing here last year. We're probably going to plant beans here this year. But the tulips are up and they're, I'd say only 3 inches high. And it's amazing how microclimates work, because I've got a friend that lives just down the road, maybe 5 minutes away, and his tulips are way higher than these. There's just a relatively cold spot where I've got my garden here, and just got to work around it. Anyway, so my garlic, my biggest, so not garlic, my tulips, my biggest tulips from soil level up, I would say 4 inches 5 max. That's how high my tulips are right now at the last weekend in April. Alright, so I just thought I'd run through that to give you a sense of where my garden is, where I am. Alright, here's the bed where I've been growing my spinach since sometime in March. And I've got the glass off of here, and I think it's really time just to take this apart and you know, let it be the garden it was designed to be, which is not a garden that has a cold frame on it, but just an open garden. So this was designed to come apart very easily, as you can see. There, dismantled. Done. So now it's time to take these spinach, and you can tell I had rows going like this and not all of them have made it. That's just the way things work sometimes. But there's more than enough spinach to fill out this bed, right? For each spinach to have optimal amount of space in this bed. And since it's going to rain for the next 2 days, it's a good time to move them. You should always seize the opportunity when you've got rainy weather coming and overcast weather coming, if you've got something growing like this, to spread them out, move them around. Like I've got some spinach right here, and each one is about 2 inches apart. That's not the right distance for spinach to achieve optimal growth, so they need to be spaced out. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to use a knife and I'm going to move these all around, and when I'm done, each spinach will have just the right amount of space so it can become the best spinach it could possibly be, and the most flavorful and healthy and big and juicy spinach it can possibly be, and that's what you want, right? So stay tuned here. Alright, so I'm just going to take all this excess mulch and put it aside for now. Just removing the mulch right now. The only reason I need all these preparations is because I started the, look at that, look how much the worms love the mulch. Worm. Look, if I just pull this mulch back, I'm sure there's worms everywhere. There's one right there. There's another one right there. If you're an angler, this is heaven. Look at all these worms. Another worm. They're just all over the place. Lots of worms. Right? Worms love the mulch, and if you've got worms, you've got good soil, because worms make good soil. Oh, there's worms everywhere here. Holy smokes. Not all mulch gardening is this labor intensive, and actually it's only going to take a few minutes. But it's only because we started things in March, and we used the mulch to insulate this garden. If you watch that video where I actually sowed these seeds, we used the mulch like a building material. Why not? Right? We got it for nothing, and it serves the function. So why on earth not? I used it like a caulking, right? To seal up the gaps in the improvised cold frame to keep this from getting too cold. But now we'll take it off and then we'll put it back on. We're just taking it off so we can put it back on. That's all we're doing here. Just getting it out of the way. Doing everything with our hands. I'm going to use a knife to pull these plants out of the ground. I think that's good. So now I'm just evening this out a little bit, smoothing it out. This garden had peas in it peas and beans last year. Had Windsor beans or fava beans and an Italian broad bean. I can't remember the variety, but it was an Italian variety, very delicious. Okay, that's all the soil work that needs to be done. Now I gotta get a knife and very gently remove these spinach. There's the odd weed here, but we don't worry about that at all. Very few weeds, generally speaking. Okay, let me grab a knife. Alright, so I haven't got a knife here, but I got this homey gardening tool. If you've been watching my videos, I've been using these for years. One of my sponsors this year sells these, Vessi Seeds sells these. You can use them for anything really, so anyway. We got to divide these up. So it's a bit of a tedious process, but I'm going to try to stick with the rows that I've established and just space them out a bit. So I got one right here. He's fine. And there's, I don't know, I probably want one about every 6 inches or so. So this guy's okay, but these two got to go. Look, there's a slug right there. Another good reason to come out and garden in the evening. You can see what's at your stuff. Some of these spinach have a bit of bite marks and holes in them, and that's because of these buggers. So I'll put some slug bait down tonight as well. It's going to be an overcast, foggy night, and I'm sure they'll be out, and that will definitely sort them out somewhat. Alright, so I'm just going to scoop that up. That's a dicey operation, moving plants, right? Especially when you've got big rocks like that. That doesn't do any good. But anyway, you just try to be as gentle, do it as gently and carefully as you can. And you know, if you plant it right and you've got a couple overcast days, at least the plants have a chance to survive it. Another rock right there. Spinach do not like being moved, and you know, some of your local garden centers will sell them as transplants. I would avoid buying them as transplants at all costs. They don't like being moved. Most plants don't like being moved, but some hate it even more than others. And spinach in particular don't like being moved. They like growing where they've been planted. At least with the approach we're doing right here, I'm moving them from a place to another place where the soil's the same, right? They're the same kind of soil, the same, right? There's no big shock. Plants don't like going from one kind of soil to another. Just like you wouldn't like going from one house to another. If you had a house and it was nice and peaceful and quiet, then you had to go live in a house where there was a party going on 24/7, you wouldn't be very happy either. Your health would probably suffer as a result, right? And plants are no different than that. So now look, I got this nice spacing, right? And hopefully they'll survive the next couple days. They're not going to like what I've just done to them, but hopefully they'll bounce back and survive it. I'm just going to move them around until I feel the spacing's okay, and once I've filled the area, whatever ones I haven't moved, I'm going to leave them where they are in case the ones I moved don't make it. Right? Some of the plants I've moved are just not going to like what I've done to them, and they're just going to die. Or because they're weakened, slugs and stuff like that will really attack the hell out of them, and that'll be the end of them. So I'll leave a few plants in reserve to be removed the next time I've got a couple overcast days ahead of me to fill in the gap. But anyway, that's the idea, right? Let me just do the rest of the bed here. I'm going to speed the camera up. I'm going to stop talking, and I'll just do this in fast motion so you can see how easy this is to do. This is the general idea when you're not doing transplants indoors. You're doing your transplants outdoors, and just moving and rearranging. This is the approach. Alright, well, I've spaced them all out. I thought I have a few extra in reserve, but I don't. In fact, I've got a few spots that don't even have spinach, so I'll have to drop some seeds right over there. There's nothing. There wasn't enough to thin out to that, but that's okay. I still happy with how this turned out. And some of these might not survive the move. That just happens sometimes, but that only took about 10 minutes to space them all out. And let's say I have about 80% survival after this. We'll see. I'll do a follow-up video. But this is a garden bed that's about 2 feet by, no, it's 1, 2, 3. It's about 4 feet by 6 feet long. That's a good amount of spinach, right? I'll be lucky to eat all of this before it bolts. So very happy with how this worked out, and I'll follow up and let you see how it goes over the next few months. Alright, so just a quick little video on growing spinach in March in Zone 6A, and a few indicators of how my Zone 6A is doing compared to your Zone 6A or your Zone 5A or 5B or 4, whatever. I'm sure there's people in Zone 4 with bigger tulips than I have. or in zone 5 with bigger tulips than I have, or garlic that are further along, or so on. And I'm sure there's people in zone 6 that are worse off, or zone 5 that are worse off. That's why these zones don't matter so much. What's more important is what's going on where you are, how much sun you have, how much light you have, how much heat you have in your soil, and that sort of thing. So for me, it was the right time to dismantle this improvised cold frame and space out these spinach so they can have optimal growing conditions. So I hope that gave you some good ideas. If you enjoyed this content, give me a thumbs up, like us on Facebook, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the offerings from my sponsors below in the description box, Bessie's Seeds and Safer's Gardening Products. I'm actually going to throw some slug bait down here, the same kind that they sell on their website. If that's a real problem for you, it certainly is a problem for me. I got lots of slugs here. So until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden.